On Daf 8 of Eruvin, we get a question that seems very strange from the modern lens. What are we talking about? We're talking about, let's say you have a pile of garbage. Can the pile of garbage be considered a full wall such that it allows you to carry within it, say if you have other walls that form a perimeter that would normally allow you to carry on Shabbat? Can the pile of garbage be such a wall that you can depend upon for the purposes of an Eruv? And just the very question itself made me really think about just how different that world was to our modern world. That here we are, like we think about garbage, like I take out the garbage like daily. We've got like plastic bottles, we're environmentalists. We try to compost and do other things, not that we really can easily in the city. And still we have tons and tons of garbage. So we can't seem to get rid of all these little plastic containers that we seem to get when we buy things, despite the fact we tried to avoid disposables. It's like the amount of garbage we produce is insane. And most of it, if it were to be in a big pile, would blow away from the wind. It would move. It's not something substantial, and it's something that gets moved all the time. We pick it up from close to our homes and we pull it far away where we don't have to see it, where we can ignore it, where we can pretend it doesn't exist. Back then they were talking about something very different. That they didn't have garbage dumps, they didn't have a good way of hauling things away, and they didn't have things that were just disposable. They'd use once and they'd trash. I imagine this garbage dump that they're talking about probably had construction material, had rocks, had broken boards, things along those lines that they'd use to be creating the houses that are something substantial, that are the type of thing where you moved it behind your house and you didn't kind of tend to, there's no one to come and take it away and put it where no one would see it. And carrying it far away was such an incredible burden. They just kind of create this sort of semi-permanent pile behind the house. And maybe if that was high enough and stable enough, we could actually use that to create a border that we could then be able to carry in our yard and amongst our homes. So it's wild to think of like a garbage heap and start looking at that through the lens of how garbage has changed in our world to that world that existed a couple thousand years ago.